as the host of the Hip Spotlight YouTube live stream to introduce to everybody who's checking out this transmission the Captains of Entropy. Jason,
Hello.
Mike, and Reilly. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on this Thursday.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to see you, Andy.
It's good to see you, Jason. And for those unfamiliar with the Captains, they are a musical trio from Los Angeles, California. And last year, about 14 months ago, they came to us here in New Jersey with a music video called The Flea. We gathered together here in New Jersey to watch it. It did take us a bit of time to collect our jaws off the floor because music videos might be 3.5. Now more than ever, they're under 3. Gentlemen, we're going to talk all about your music, but The Flea, wow, that video was not a small undertaking.
Not at all. Still feels like a dream or surreal.
Well, I will tell you there are very few videos that are literally more than just a song or a visual. The Flea is truly a movement. It's an epic, just 6 minutes of absolute brilliance. And I get it. You leaned on people like Ryan J. Reynolds and his buddy Mike, who did the producing. But before we talk more about The Flea, and then, of course, your most recent video, Ball Under Couch, featuring the most adorable chihuahua you will ever see on the World Wide Web, you guys, you got to talk about this. This is the Captains of Entropy's debut album.
The debut.
And it is called The Flea and the Worm. And it's important to note that not only is the Flea on this record, but the record actually has a flea side.
Yes, it does.
And it has a worm side. So certainly all 3 of you have a great backstory. The guy up front, everyone, that's Jason. And you should know that I first became pals with him. Jason, this look familiar?
That's a long time ago.
It is a
Sort of remember it.
time ago. But this guy is busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. 2011, just all the way through. Heartour, yes, his band. And, you know, he might be a drummer, but Jason, you're quite the songwriter. But this is like nothing else I have ever heard. It's just absolutely wonderful. Gentlemen, you want to talk about how this record came to be?
Yeah.
I think it all started with this guy here, as far as actually getting that thing in your hand, you know, and in the hands of people that can enjoy it. So I'd like to hear his perspective on that.
Yeah. So we've known each other for over a decade now. And what started out as just, you know, friends hanging and going to shows. And we all sort of knew we played instruments. So eventually, you know, we started jamming. Well, we probably started jamming like 8 years ago. And then, and then, you know, it was very casual. We didn't have any songs. And then pandemic hit and we had nothing but time and emotional dysregulation that needed to go somewhere.
And nowhere to really go.
Nowhere to go. So that's when we built the whole thing and started building the songs. And Yeah, and it's been sort of like a, like a jazz sound bath or like an alternative rock sound bath. There's no lyrics, it's just our instruments and we're inventing it as we go.
Isn't there a certain liberation in being in a musical group where nobody tells anyone else what to do or play? And I'm sure you hit the rewind button and you listen back and you look at each other. Just that's pretty good.
That's pretty much how it goes. That's pretty much how those songs came about on the Flea and the Worm. Um, Sometimes some of us, one person would come in with an idea and just, a riff or a chord progression, and we just start playing it. Uh, Sometimes there might be suggestions of what others can do, um, and it just kind of grows. And given all that we were kind of in the heat of the pandemic, it all just kind of got compressed and taking on a life of its own. So those songs are kind of a representation of how Captains of Entropy came to be. Very organic and full of personality, all of our personalities.
Yeah, a good example of that is the ending of the Flea when it kind of gets all sort of hypey. I remember the day when we were working on that song, which initially didn't have that ending or energy pickup. It was much more of this sort of plodding, almost like a library track. And we were playing it, and all of a sudden we sort of like there was a little bit of a pause, and then Jason got really aggressive and just started playing this really heavy drum beat. And I kind of looked at Reilly. I was like, "Play the bass line again." And we sort of all discovered collectively that like that's how the song needs to end. Is it needs to sort of have this big upping of the stakes, and that only happens through experimenting and playing around with each other and having that freedom like you mentioned, where no one's telling anybody what to do, we're just sort of reacting to it. And those are when the sort of, I think, highlights of the songwriting come through, is when it's that sort of egalitarian democracy of just our collective minds figuring out the next step for something. And it's always brings big smile to your face as somebody who, if you're the one who comes in with the idea and then the group takes it to a place that you had really never imagined, that feels really cool, because it sort of feels like it's evolving and growing up, and it takes the other guys to make that happen.
I'm curious, and it could be because Reilly, I am a fellow bass player.
Cheers.
In Cheers to You, at 4 minutes and 56 seconds into The Flea.
Yeah.
It is such a magnificent dopamine hit. It literally fills my soul with ebullience. And it's there. And it's there forever because, records are letters, they don't go away.
Right.
Whose idea was that cool break?
So I humbly acknowledge that when we were in the studio cutting that track, that ending had kind of slipped away from us as far as how we were going to make it happen. And it was towards the end of the session, and we just had a little extra time, and is there anything we want to catch real quick? And I said, you know what, let's go back and try that ending again, but let's just feel it. Let's not listen to the rest of the song. Let's just go in there and we'll just start doing it. And we cut that in just a few minutes, and it worked out great.
Yeah, Reilly definitely was the one who had the thought to really make a distinct, like, before the end, to sort of make the drums call and response with the bass in that little breakdown section, if you want to call it that. But the other thing we had a lot of fun with in the studio was our engineer Bill brought a bunch of his own pedals with him.
Sure.
And we were trying out different overdrives and fuzzes, and it was definitely fun to tinker with it and get it to sound as heavy as we ended up getting it. And I think it was a Big Muff that you settled on for that.
Yeah, the Big Muff always worked.
But yeah.
The Big Muff and that bass 6, where which was pretty new to me, for this project, playing the bass 6 and having a much more guitar like feel. Really, that song and that part of that song in particular really lent itself well with that instrument.
Well, everyone watching this hip spotlight with the Captains of Entropy, please note they're speaking of sessions. They're speaking of studio sessions. Now, in 2026, many studio sessions happen in someone's home. Perhaps they happen in a bedroom, or they go to a friend's house. Maybe the studio is in the basement. Or you go to one of those studios that are still surviving in this new musical arena. Gentlemen, you went to the most legendary recording studio that the greatest musicians we've ever have fill our ears will fly many, many hours to get to. And this studio, known for their incredible vintage equipment, and of course, all of my musical heroes have recorded there. Was there a vibration the moment you walked into Sunset that just is indescribable?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we're tempted to look at the list of classic albums recorded in the same room that we were in, and it was a little overwhelming. We're this group of friends and putting out our music, and I'm super stoked to do it, but to look at the same ceiling that Jim Morrison was looking up at when they're making the Doors' first record, it was a lot, but it was a lot in a good way. I mean, it was such I'm sure you're familiar, but it used to be like a car garage, the studio where we were in, and it kind of had, you could imagine it that way. It was sort of long and narrow, and sort of low ceilings too, as far as I recall, but kind of had this like sweaty, grimy, raw vibe, which I think worked well for our purposes. And I also remember there was like a light fixture or something that was rattling.
Oh, yeah.
We were blasting away, and Reilly, really cranks the ampeg when he's going good, and so they had to tape something to the walls so that it wouldn't make any noise. So we were going for it.
Yeah, we were breaking the studio apart.
Yeah.
We figure if it could handle Van Halen,
Yeah, we could handle Van Halen 30 years ago.
Do whatever we could do to it. Yeah.
And though many will travel thousands of miles to have the honor and privilege to record there, I would surmise that Sunset is pretty close to where y'all live.
Yeah, it was about a 40-minute drive. We're on the west side of LA, but and Sunset's in Hollywood, but it's as far as ease getting there, it was pretty sweet. You just wake up in the morning, we all carpooled, and we by the end of it, we were sort of used to it, it's just sort of showing up a little bit before 10 o'clock, having some coffee and settling in, and then on it was to recording.
It was an incredible experience.
Yes. So we talked about the Flea, and I encourage everybody watching to go to the Captains of Entropy YouTube channel. The video for the Flea is right there. It is quite the music video. And, the word conventional is used quite often in the music industry. You guys are the antithesis of conventional. And what we like about the Captains is y'all take everything seriously except yourselves. Because right after that break at 4:56, y'all are doing some choreography with the Flea.
Yep.
That's right.
We had to really force Jason here.
I don't know.
He's a
Yeah,
little camera shy with the dancing.
yeah. I don't know.
But we made it happen. Our little version of the Macarena under that glorious Joshua tree or whatever
It
kind
was
of
a
tree it
pumpkin
was.
tree.
It was out in the middle of nowhere in the Mojave Desert. It was quite an interesting set. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. Our friend Paul came up with those dance moves, and he wrote the choreography, I guess is the term.
And he was the Flea.
And he,
Yeah,
he
he-
the man inside the
was in
costume.
the outfit himself. Yeah.
And so everything we were doing, he was doing basically blindfolded and 50 degrees warmer in his pleather flea costume. So much props to Paul Fierce.
And so many people involved.
Yeah, there were a lot of people helping out
It was
from everything, but big shout out to Ryan and Matthew in particular, who were producer and director of it. And we had a fun meeting with Matthew when he first pitched the idea, and I never will forget just how he comes to the ending of his pitch, and I was just sort of like, yeah, man, that sounds great. Like, but his brain just works that way. He's a very fast thinking and talking person, and I think it's amazing that we were able to give this opportunity to a bunch of creative people in Los Angeles to just do their thing and make something weird with us. And like you said, like we don't take ourselves too seriously, but everybody working on that video was working incredibly hard. And I mean, we were using real film and setting up these contraptions to do these shots where the camera was moving along these tracks.
Yeah, we had a track.
I mean, it was the real deal, and I think people have responded to that.
the elevator in the desert.
Oh yeah, and then we
built
just got
that
Sam
fire.
who built this elevator, and just hauled it out to the desert. It's crazy.
I'm sure there had to have been some challenges shooting in Palmdale. What ambition, Captain.
There were, and there was a gentleman
You found a guy.
who ran the property that was rented out to do the filming on, and there were.
He was the host with the most.
He was an interesting guy, but he had these motorized bicycles, makeshift motorcycles.
He would do e-bike tours. Was
right.
his
and
business.
And so we ended up using one of those in the video. Reilly got to.
It's fun I've had in a really long time.
He was a pig in shit, so to speak.
E-bike.
Sorry about that.
I will say one big challenge was food. Getting food out there. I remember at one point just being like, isn't it lunchtime yet?
We're gonna survive.
Yeah. We had the craft services table and everything, but as far as getting an actual meal, it was a bit of an effort to get it out there, but we did it.
Yeah.
Now, did you advise and or suggest to Mike and Ryan or make them aware that collectively the Captains are somewhat new to the thespian world?
Oh, they knew our abilities because we're very close with Matthew, and that's how we met Ryan, and so he knew we were agreeing with all this, and
These two have a little bit of experience. I was a complete noob, and I was grateful for their patience with me in understanding, and not only the production team and my co-captains here, for just there's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in and to go with. So, but now that we've got that one under our belt, moving forward, I think we're going to be having a lot more fun.
I used to do
Even more fun.
musical theater way back when, and so the flea dance for me was easy peasy lemon squeezy. but-
Old hat.
Yeah, that was nothing.
I'll say like the flea dance, the part that was hardest for me was remembering the choreography. If it was just like a free form thing, no problem.
Yeah.
But if remembering the choreography was hard for me doing the dancing.
Yeah.
We've seen this guy. We know he can dance because we see him dance all the time. We're out. to
Yeah,
music.
we often dance together.
But it's not choreographed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were lucky though in the arrangement that the flea was in the front. So if you did forget your choreography,
Yeah,
you could
slip a
kind
little
of
bit.
lean on the flea a little bit and just be like, oh, he's doing that. So just mirror him, or it, I guess.
Well, Jason, Mike, certainly Mike was well cast as the tech bro.
Oh yeah.
And Jason,
This is lawyer.
you outstanding lawyer.
Thank you. It's the first time.
And would you both agree that Reilly did a pretty darn good job as the CEO?
I thought Reilly, stole the show as the evil CEO tycoon. I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
I was not consulted. I was just simply cast that way without any knowledge of anything. It was just like they came to us with the script and they said, "You're the CEO." I said, "Okay, I'll do my best."
And he did. I mean, we were so impressed by how Reilly of everybody just seems like a natural on screen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How is it? How is it that the flea? Paul Fears inside the flea costume. How is it that the flea puts the three of you on a massive sick trip, and yet he's likable?
This is the so this is the I got you.
Okay, Reilly knows.
Is the tricks? He's the embodiment of the trickster archetype, often portrayed by a raven or a coyote. And in our case, we chose a flea, and we'll save that. Maybe we'll save that story for another time as to why we settle on the flea. But the trickster is a mischievous character, and he kind of rides that line, that gray area. He's neither good nor evil. He's just kind of there, and he is kind of the embodiment of entropy, which we claim to be captains of. And so we felt it was appropriate in our first visual presentation to the world that we kind of explore that theme a little bit. Obviously, apparently, our characters at the beginning of the video are really rigid, stuck in their rigid roles. And it has not been good for them or for the world around them. And so the flea comes and just disrupts it a bit and shakes it up a little bit and takes us to a place where we can kind of get a little perspective. And that's, I think, what we were going for there.
Yeah, we needed to learn the ways of the flea to, find our higher calling as rock stars.
And bringing joy to the world rather than toxic waste.
Right.
So it's been 14 months, gentlemen, and you made a promise that this was April of 2025.
Oh, the price.
That the flea will return.
Jason made that promise.
Yeah. Yes. I don't have any news on that, but I'm still planning on not breaking that promise one day.
We're not going to break that promise. We're not going to break that promise.
We don't know when. We don't know how.
Yeah, maybe
The flea will return.
when we get our merch game together, I'm sure the flea might play a prominent role. Maybe there'll be some sort of flea
Flea merch.
or a t-shirt or a hat with allusions to the
A flea
bite.
But I just want
A
to
flea
let
shirt.
everybody know that we know where the flea is,
Yeah.
and we know how to get a hold of the flea, and the flea knows how to get a hold of us. So when the time is right,
Yeah, we can bat signal the flea,
the flea
so
will
to
return.
speak. Yeah.
Thank you for that update.
It was an update for me too.
I will share with everyone that as fabulous as the flea was in the music video for the flea as the main character, that flea don't hold a candle to the main character in the follow-up video to the flea, Ball Under Couch. Reilly, let's talk about that little chihuahua. And I'm curious, I'm sure you can speak directly to it, but I would love to get Jason's perspective. I'd love to get Mike's perspective. It is a known fact that chihuahuas, because of their tiny skull and their packed in teeth, that they are prone to halitosis.
That's true. Yeah.
It's true. And it kind of sneaks when you have the dog, since a pup, a wee little pup, you kind of it just kind of shows up one day. You don't really notice it developing. But he had fishy breath, and we did what we could for that. But there's not much you can do.
Usually you just turn your head either way.
Because he likes to go for the face. He likes to
wanted to get in. He would try to get in there.
Yeah.
He wants to kiss on the lips,
Yeah.
even if you don't want him to. And so, yeah, he had some stinky breath, and usually it wasn't. It was only really a problem with when it came to greetings, when he was right up there in your face. But it was powerful.
It was significant.
Mm-hmm. Laura, so you have to follow up the flea, and you're going to give Ryan and Mike a little breather. Laura, just what a way to show love and gratitude, Reilly, I'm sure, because the dog was
Absolutely
awesome. Than to put together a visual like Ball Under Couch.
Yeah, she absolutely crushed it. Jason had worked with her in the past, I think, or
Yeah, she did a video for some solo stuff a couple years ago.
I still just can't get over the job that she did. I think that it's an incredible tribute to the beloved Ruben, but also showcases the sort of psychedelic nature of the band and how we really, at least on that song, wanted to go deep and really explore that progression and all the different ways we could sort of take it, and having the freedom in the studio to just sort of let the tape roll and really just go for it. So obviously it's a challenge to sustain a video for that amount of time.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, most
It's
videos
an 8-minute song.
Yeah, most videos are 2.5, 3.5 minutes. But I just thought it was incredibly creative and imaginative how she arranged it and took us all on this journey with Ruben under the couch into the Alice in Wonderland type land. And we had a bunch of these weird little figurines that I had made from different vinyl record covers that I had kind of collaged together in one of my weird projects. And the thought came to our heads that like maybe we could incorporate some of these figures when Ruben gets into the murky area. And
monsters.
Yeah, they were sort of the monsters of that land, and it was so much fun to see them kind of get their time in the spotlight after making them years ago. But yeah, I just give her the biggest round of applause. She did incredibly.
The way that his collage work, it was a perfect match. You can barely tell that there were two different minds at work, and we had been kind of looking for a way to use those for a while. But when I first saw Laura's stuff, I watched the Heartour video and I watched some of our other things, and it reminded me so much of uh, some of my favorite things, like the old Terry Gilliam style cutout animation from Monty Python, and then the Tim and Eric stuff. We're huge fans of that from, whenever that was, 20 years ago or whatever. And there's other artists, and when I saw her, she puts her own spin on it, but it has that same vibe that was just like, this is exactly the right match.
Yeah, and like a little bit of like Wes Anderson, the sort of fantastical and the really like nice designs of each shot and the symmetry. Like I just was really impressed.
I tell people the best way to get people to join your community and become a fan and or super fan. Here we're all super fans. Would you guys agree? Ball under couch. Sure, you got to hang in there for 8 full minutes. But is Ball Under Couch, is it or is it not the video that when you finish it up, you immediately hit repeat?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. For me, I got to tell you, when you get to that last little bit, I need to take a moment personally, because it's very personal to me. But I'm glad to hear that other people want to just listen to it again and watch it again, because it's like one of those things. One of the reasons that we like some of those references that we made, and what came through in Laura's work, was that you want to pry deeper. There's more there than what you were able to take in the first time. And so I'm glad to hear that.
You guys make great music. I don't know how y'all do it. And all that matters is that you do. And before we get to the plugs and how people can learn more about the Captains, we should talk about the fact that after taking a little break from all these ambitious endeavors there in the City of Angels, you got new stuff coming. Actually, tomorrow. Why don't y'all tell us about Infection?
Surprise! Here comes the first single for a bunch of new music that's coming out over like the next year.
We're locked and loaded.
We've got the video. We've got the video coming out on Wednesday, and the song comes out tomorrow. It's called Infection. Mikey, how do we think of this song?
Yeah, so try to make a long story short. When I first moved to LA, I had it in my head that I was going to do either soundtrack composing or jingles. And for a little bit, I interned at a music studio that did music for TV and film. And so while I was working there, I came up with a lot of 30-second ideas that were these sort of makeshift jingles. And one of them was this sort of Afro-beaty, Fela Kuti sort of inspired thing that I called it Infection at the time. I don't, my way of naming songs is very spur of the moment and just sort of whatever first enters my head. But yeah, it's sort of when we were working on new material for the next batch of songs that we're releasing, I kind of went through a lot of those jingles just to sort of see if there were any ideas to revisit. And that was one that leapt out at me because it just felt like a really fun groove that we could play with. And we ended up finding a couple of other old songs to combine little elements to and sort of Frankenstein it together. And yeah, it just came together pretty easily. It was one of the ones in the studio that we did a little bit differently from how we normally approach a song, where I think we did that one on the grid. And so it made our approach to it a little bit different in terms of overdubs and adding different layers and stuff. It was less like a in the moment jam like Ball Under Couches, much more of a dedicated studio track.
Yeah, so just for people at home who might not know what on the grid means, it just means we're playing to a fixed time, playing to a metronome. And most of the time we don't do that, and we just like to have the time sort of shift and move. But for this one, keeping it on the grid, and it worked. We're really happy with it.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier if you're adding elements that are like MIDI or something with a plugin or something like that in terms of following the clock exactly. And for this track, we were using some Mellotron sounds and some other synths, things like that. So it just helps to make the timing a little bit better.
We weren't sure how it was going to work out. We weren't sure how it was going to feel in the room when we were doing the tracking. Felt pretty good.
Yep.
Felt fun. We probably wouldn't want to do that for everything, but now we know that we can do that, and it feels comfortable if there's songs or other projects that call for that. So it's another tool in the toolbox.
Well, as a fan, my significant other is a huge fan. She wanted to get more info on Ruben because it's pretty clear that was a special quadruped you had there, Reilly.
Sure, I'll tell you a little bit about Ruben. Ruben came into my life in 2006. So 20 years. Is that right? No, 2008. I should say 2008. And he's just was an incredible dog. Not only did he had this amazing look to his patterns and his spots and his fur. Anytime anybody saw him, people were very impressed. And he had this personality where, Chihuahuas can be kind of polarizing. And
fiercely loyal
to me, but as far as people's opinions go, it's either you love them or you hate them. And I had several people comment, I normally don't like Chihuahuas, but I like Ruben. He had charm and gusto, and he was just a sweet pup. He lived for, geez, oh man, 16 years, going on 17 years. He saw me through some very difficult times in my life. And I can't imagine what it would have been like without him. And I'll give you a little bit more insight because this is just a little bit about him, and it's also about the song. He loved to play with the ball. He could actually fit a full-size tennis ball in his tiny little mouth. And when I had friends over and people were doing things, I'm sure this is familiar to people with dogs. He wanted to be part of the action. He didn't like being left out. And there was one day where we were writing music and working on things and, we got this riff, we've got this chord progression, we've got this whatever it is, and we're trying to work it out in my living room. And Ruben is feeling left out, and he wants to play the ball. And in order to get our attention, the ball just kept on somehow finding its way under the couch, right out of his grip, right out of his reach. And then he would sit there and he would whine and he would snarl and he would growl at it until one of us would come, get the ball, go play with him for a little while and go back to the music. And you can imagine, you can guess what song we were working on. It kind of turned into a sonic representation, almost like a little mini opera of that moment in time, of what was actually happening in the room while we were writing the song. And that intro to the bass is kind of my way of mimicking his of trying to get the ball out from under the couch.
Ruben had some infamous
noises,
gremlin noises that he would make.
Very vocal.
very sort of strange, if not frightening, sounds would emanate from him in the heat of battle, so to speak. But yeah, it was quite the power flex by him because he knew what he was doing. It was like, just put the ball under the couch a little bit farther than I can get it, and then they have to get it for me.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm going to annoy him.
kind of brilliant.
So he was a clever boy, and I miss him dearly. He's been
Yeah.
been gone for about 1.5 years now, a little bit more than that. And it was obviously a very challenging thing to say goodbye. But he seemed to pick his moment well. So we love the little guy. Thank you for inquiring.
Yeah,
You're welcome,
and
and thank you for sharing.
Sure.
It can be difficult sometimes,
Yeah.
and we do
does warm my
appreciate it
heart.
as fellow fans of Ruben the Chihuahua.
I'll tell you what, when I saw that video, so after he passed, Jason, I mean, I leaned on Jason pretty heavily at that time for support and emotional support, like a good friend. And he sent me a message. He just said, send me all your pictures of Ruben. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I've had this dog for 16 years. That's thousands of pictures. Send it all. And I had no idea. What it was for.
Yeah, and I got the same message. He was stealthy.
I didn't even remember that was a surprise.
Send me any pictures you have of Ruben. I got something in the works.
And so when we first met with Laura, I had started to figure it all out. And when I saw the first cut of the video, I wasn't sure if I was going to break down in tears and grief. I was worried I might, but the exact opposite happened. It was just heartwarming and beaming, and I just had the biggest smile on my face and just felt so good about it, that he had found this posthumous way of staying with us.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful tribute to a very impactful creature in my life, and obviously in Reilly and Jason's life. I mean, I've been really close with Reilly for over 10 years now, and was there as well during some of his hard times. And without that dog around, I don't know how he would have survived it. But it's needless to say, the dog made a vast impact on me as well, having spent as much time with them as I have. And yeah, it warms my heart to watch the video as well, because it makes me feel like Ruben is still with us, if not in his physical form, certainly in his spiritual.
He still comes to me in my dreams. He's still my dream guy.
Well, we're going to wrap up. How do the folks watching, and of course this will be posted on the Hip Video YouTube channel, how do people become a part of the Captain's world, and where's the best place to go? And just know that I gotta tell y'all, it's gonna happen. Your community's gonna grow by leaps and bounds now when people realize this wasn't a one-off, or this was just a project to do before you all go back to your other projects. It seems like the Captains are gonna continue.
Absolutely.
There's a lot coming up for the Captains. Join us at captainsofentropy.com, Captains of Entropy on Instagram. YouTube. Yeah, Captains of Entropy on YouTube. Those are the main spots, I think.
Follow us on your major streaming platforms.
Yep. So wherever you stream music, follow us there. We're on everything.
And I'd be remiss not to point everybody to our Bandcamp page.
Oh, yeah.
We love Bandcamp, and there's links on the Bandcamp if you wanted to get a physical copy of The Flea and the Worm. That's the place where you can do that, along with our website. But yeah, I highly encourage people to go to Bandcamp. The first album is all streaming there, as well as the singles, and our upcoming material will all go there, as well as the various streaming platforms. But we really love Bandcamp.
Everybody get ready. I know it doesn't sound pleasant, but you got an infection coming your way.
Yes.
And it means that there's going to be more music coming from the Captains of Entropy. And that fills my soul with joy because, man, if we listen to music to feel a way we'd rather be feeling, Listen to the Captains. It's just going to put you in a brand new place. I can assure you, you're going to feel better. And I'm grateful to all three of you for joining us today on the Hip Spotlight.
Thank you so much for hosting, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Oh, you're
Appreciate
welcome. It's a great pleasure and privilege, and just know all the way over here on the other side of the country, you guys really are impossible not to root for. I mean, you really are. Just you're gonna do more music, and we can't wait. And you can be assured that as we move on, we'll want to have you come back on the broadcast to give us updates.
Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Coast to
All right,
coast.
guys, take care. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye now.